in the front office up there in Green Bay, but he was there looking pretty happy with some of his buddies. Who we got there? Bakhtiari,
AJ Hawk, Miles
Hawk.
Teller, Randall Cobb.
Very cool.
What are he and AJ doing with his hands? Does anybody know? They're holding it up. I can't figure that part. Everyone's looking at his hat.
You know who's not in that picture? Goody. Goody is not. The GM of the Packers not invited. Matt LaFleur. They were left to pick up the pieces, if you will, when addressing the media.
Obviously, there's some things can become complicated, and we're working through it the best we can. We've been working through it for a while, and again, we're very optimistic that we can get through this for what's best for the Green Bay Packers, which is Aaron suiting up for us this fall.
I know the reports out there. I mean, this guy is our quarterback, man, and he's our leader of our team, and I want nothing more than to see him back in a Packer uniform.
That's all well and good, Matt, but what if he doesn't want to be back here?
Yeah, I know, and I can't even take my brain to that spot right now. So I just want to do everything in my power to ensure that doesn't happen.
I feel for him, Matt LaFleur. I appreciate the candor from the head coach of the Packers, who seems to be caught in between something. We don't know all of the details as it is, but we do want to throw it around, speculate if we can. Schrags, can this be resolved? This isn't, Aaron Rodgers the day after they draft Jordan Love, where we're saying, Nate, he's emotional about the pick. He's marinated on this clearly.
No doubt about it, and I feel like it can be resolved. There's going to have to be some compromise. I feel like more of the compromise will come from the Packers side of things, the front office. There might have to be some movement for Aaron Rodgers to get back in that facility. But I said this past week, and I have to be honest about both sides of it. Now, I get it. When you're looking at Aaron Rodgers and him addressing maybe some of the drafts over the years past, and we talked about the last 10 first-round picks being defensive guys, I think 9 of them, and the only offensive guy was Jordan Love that's there to replace him. He wants help, and he hasn't received the help that he's wanted. But then on the flip side, I said this last week, and I have to be honest, even though I love Aaron Rodgers, you're also getting paid a ton of money, bro. You're a $30 million+ quarterback, and you're sitting back and you're in your feelings about decisions that are above you. I feel like oftentimes as players, forget about just quarterbacks, players, if you're getting paid the most, you're also getting paid to deal with the BS, whether you agree with it or not. So as much as I can say, hey, Aaron, I feel you, bro, and I get it. Also, there's some professionalism that needs to happen. You got to walk in that facility, look everybody eye to eye and say, you know what, I'm your quarterback, but here's the things I need you guys to do. And I know you've probably done that before, but you got to do it again. If you were making crumbs at the bottom of the roster, I wouldn't ask you to do that. But if you're making the money you're making and you're the face of the franchise, you got to man up and walk in that building.
Mm-hmm. I actually think, a lot of people like to say, why don't they draft more wide receivers? And I don't even think it's that much about that. I think he's over that. We're now a year removed from the draft time, and I still think that the Jordan Love pick is the strangest draft pick we have ever seen, ever. And it happened after Rodgers had 2 straight seasons where he had 51 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and he had gone 13-3, and they moved up to take a quarterback in the first round, and Rodgers had 4 years left in his contract. It's still very strange, very. But I do think it can be resolved. I think this whole thing can be. It's a choose-your-own adventure. I have exactly 3 ways this can be resolved, and this is not jokes. What do you got to stick? Here are my 3 options. These are the only ways. Number 1, I'm just going to put it out there nice and blunt. Brian Gutekunst is terminated.
So dramatic.
Terminated. He's targeted for termination. I surmise that if they were to say, Brian, it's gotten complicated and we have to move on, I think Rodgers is there. 2, Rodgers, meditates and does yoga and says, screw it. I was emotional. I'm just going to put up with this. I want to finish my career with the Packers very badly. I'll just wear it and I'll come by, and I don't like the guy, but I'm going to show up and work. Or 3, they trade the reigning MVP. He says, I'm not doing it. It gets nasty. And they finally say, screw it. We have no plans right now, but it devolves to the point where they're like, we think he's going to hold out. Let's trade him. Let's get a boatload for him. Notice one of the options is not retire on there. He's been really clear on our show and other places. I'm not retiring. I have years of football left to play. If I retire with 2 years left, that's $60 million I'm giving up. Plus, I'm the best player in the world. Why would I retire? I think those are the only options. I really do. I just think that, if you really pay attention to Rodgers a lot and all the McAfee appearances and everything, he has found this place in life where his whole creed is remove negativity from your life. Surround yourself with positive figures. He doesn't like something in the front office. He doesn't want to work there anymore. His quality of life is affected, and he swings a big enough hammer to say, I want those people or that person gone. Are you seriously going to look at me and say, no, I'm the MVP? Fine, see how you do without me. I think it's very dicey, and I don't think it's going away.
Our show is on every day during the off season for 3 hours. This is going to be a topic, so I almost don't want to empty the entire bag on day one post-draft.
Give us a dollop.
We're going to hit this a bunch, right? So I'm trying to think of different ways to look at this. And, on Friday I said I felt it was like an organized media attack from the Rodgers camp on to the Packers, and it just felt like it was on draft day and it was in poor taste. The more I think about it, Rodgers goes on McAfee's show every day. He doesn't deal with like ESPN. I don't think it came from necessarily Aaron Rodgers, that stuff on draft day, but it definitely didn't come from the Packers. There was no reason the Packers would want any of that stuff out there the day of the draft and have to deal with Matt LaFleur looking like his dog was just stolen every day, and now they're offseason. Mm-hmm. I think someone else put this out there. So let's say someone else put this out there, whether it was a rival team or it was a rival agent or if it was someone who wanted to cause problems with the Packers. That's where you guys can come together and say, they're doing this to us. Like, both of our lives are supposed to be easy right now. We're in the offseason coming off a championship. And now we're in this polar ice cold war, and none of us are really the ones who put it out there. I really don't think it came from Rodgers. And I really don't think it came from the Packers. Meaning there is some independent party that put this out there and caused this problem.
Who has the most to gain?
The question is, who is the culprit? And that's where we come together. Who's messing up our lives here? Because if they have spoken to Rodgers 3 times, which was what the report said, and Rodgers said, it's all been behind the scenes. It's not like Rodgers has been blasting the team publicly.
But wait, Trace. I don't mean to cut you off, but if you're saying it didn't come from Rodgers, maybe it came from somebody outside of his team.
I don't say someone outside his team.
Yeah.
I'm saying it didn't come from Rodgers.
Okay, it didn't come from Rodgers, but he didn't dispel it either. He didn't come out. He didn't come out and put out the flames.
No, he could have. He was at the
which
Derby.
Means I think it almost it's a confirmation when you don't say anything.
If you take Mike Tirico on his word, which I do, Mike Tirico did not interview Rodgers on air, but he said that he spoke with Rodgers at the Derby, and Rodgers said he was disappointed that this came out publicly. So if that's the case,
which means there's truth to it.
And the Packers obviously are not wanting to deal with this.
The Packers have nothing to gain from it. Rodgers has a little bit more to gain from the story.
He does, but I feel like the public narrative on Rodgers, if everyone thinks it's from him, is swinging to, hey, and this is not me saying this. This is just what it is. You are a man with no kids, making $37 million a year, with a Hollywood wife, living in Malibu, who has it pretty good, and your qualms are about a draft pick a year ago. It's hard for the person up in Green Bay or the person who lives in Milwaukee or any suburb to feel sympathy.
Well, that makes it sound like the Packers then put it out. Because it vilifies Rodgers and makes him look like he's whining and I don't fire the GM or I'm not going to come there.
Now, every day, that's pretty risky business. Now, Goody's saying we should terminate a guy who went 23-6, which is a legitimate option right now. My final point is this. You said those 3 options. You gave 4, and you said he could also retire.
I don't think that's an option.
He won't do that, right? You didn't include one else.
What do you got?
Call his bluff.
Okay.
What are you going to do?
Hold out, I guess.
Yeah, fine. You're on contract. You want to really ride this out?
Okay.
You love football so much?
You want to go to battle with Jordan Love? That's why it's a battle.
I think they can call his bluff and say, this is what we do. We're the Packers. We are an institution that we trust what we do. And
we've been around before you. We'll be around after you.
We'll be around after you.
It'll be a game of chicken on both sides.
And this is where it gets really interesting because I think the Packers have very little power and leverage when you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, but I do think contractually they do have the hammer, and they're like, we're paying you, we're not trading. Like, I don't think Gutekunst
paying you handsomely
or LaFleur want that on their resume that they're the ones who traded Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers. We have a long offseason. This isn't going to be resolved anytime soon, and we can hit it a lot of different ways, but there's like a whodunit involved. Like, who put this out there? I don't know. And then how's it going to end up? I don't know.
At GMC with your thoughts, it would be a lot. I look how you didn't really give us everything you know. You just
I don't.
It's like we're going to be talking
mile
about
marker
this
1
in a
right
month.
now.
So, yeah,
a long